Right, let's change focus and look at this now. Community theatre is in the spotlight this weekend. All eyes will be on the 26th annual Zwakala Festival at the Market Theatre. It's a platform to showcase local talent. At least 80% of indigenous languages will be used in productions this year as part of the festival's heritage theme. To tell us more, I'm joined in studio by Festival Director Themba Mkhoma as well as Hlubi Nontlanga, who directed one of the productions. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you and thank you so much for joining us. Themba, let me start with you. Congratulations. Your role is fairly new at the Market Theatre. What does it entail? So what will you be doing essentially?
So what it entails, because our work involved going into the communities and identifying these community theatre groups that are doing work. So my job entails making sure that we go into different spaces in Gauteng, identifying these groups, and then work with them, giving them notes in how they can grow their productions. So I would say my job as a festival director is like the person who's doing the quality control of the works that we put on our stage.
And Hlubi, one of your productions is actually going to be on, and we heard that a number of indigenous languages will be used this year. That's very exciting. Tell us about your production.
My production is titled What Was Is No More. So in the production, we're basically looking at the parallels between tradition and religion. So we're basically focusing on Christianity specifically and some African rituals that we performed in our own homes. So what we're looking at in the productions is we're not giving you solutions. We're not saying this one is the right way and the other one is the right one. But what we're saying, we give him facts about Christianity. We give him facts about religion, about tradition. So you, as an audience member, you decide where do you fall in between the two. So we're basically looking at the parallels between the two. And the question we're asking is, can the two coexist together? So that's what the production is about.
So much deliciousness there.
Yeah.
We're coming back into it just now. But Themba, I want to come back to you and take a look at the state of community theatre. How are we faring?
The community theatre, I would say, compared to back in the years where we had a clear vision when we knew what the giant we were fighting, apartheid, so everyone had stories to tell. I think it was thriving at the time. Now with the new dispensation, there was a time when playwrights were not necessarily sure what to write about. But I feel that now we are at the right time where the playwrights are finding themselves, especially in the communities, look at this kind of subject. There wasn't a time maybe such subject were part of our theatres. I would say in the community the theatre is faring, because we even have young people starting their own theatres in the communities.
Lovely. Hlubi, let's get back into this topic. You saying you're going to be looking at tradition and religion.
Yes.
Maybe let's pick one specific theme or topic where that is concerned that you will be tackling.
Okay. So for example, the story that we're telling, it's a father and daughter relationship. So immediately when I say father and daughter relationship, one would expect that the father is the one that deals with like a lot of traditional stuff, and the daughter is the one that would be modernized and dealing with like Christianity and all of that. But with the play that we're doing, it's the other way around. So the daughter goes to America and comes back and challenges the father. With the father, my life is not okay. So there are things that were not done to me when we were young. So let's sort that out in order for my life to move on. But the father is saying, because of my history and my past, you know what parents do, what parents do all the time when you come and challenge them. They pull out the parent card and then they say, I've traveled this road, so you cannot question me. So I've seen things, and all of that. So basically that's what the father says. But the daughter comes up with very strong facts to a point where the father doesn't have a choice but to deviate away from that and use Christianity as a way of hiding for him. But even when he hides, he uses very strong facts. For example, there's a scene where the father says, Guti, the ancestors, he doesn't believe in the ancestors because ancestors are the people that died long time ago. So they are the previous generation. But the daughter comes up and counters that and say, but even your God died So what's the difference between your God and our ancestors? If they both died, so what's the difference there between those two? So it's the whole debate that's going on. So you as an audience are just sitting there like, okay, Mina, where do I belong?
Yeah, powerful, because a lot of us find ourselves trying to navigate those two, right? And trying to reconcile those two. Themba, how much creative freedom do you allow playwrights?
Yes, because what we've discovered is that people, when they write these productions, they connect this with something within themselves. So it's a negotiated space. We as the mentors, we don't come into the space and impose on what they should do. But what we do, we become the third eye for them. We're using the magic what if. We ask a question, what if it doesn't take this direction? What do you think would happen? So that the groups are the ones who come up with their own suggestions.
Khubi, like you mentioned a little bit earlier on, there's that thing about umdala, and so therefore you come with a certain knowledge and background. As a young person, this is such a heavy topic to tackle. Why was it important for you to tell the story?
For me, for example, I did not write the story. A young writer called Mangaliso Ntekiso wrote the story. So when he approached me to direct one of his plays, which was not this one, he wrote a play called Misplaced. So he contacted me to come and direct that play. But when I was looking through his archives, I found this one. So I want this one. And the reason why I chose that one is because me, myself, as a young person, I was raised by two very powerful women. So these two, women power.
Yes.
So I was raised by two very powerful young women. I mean, not young women, old women.
They were at some point.
They were at some point. So I was raised by my grandmother and my mother. But what I found in my growing up is that my grandmother is a strong believer in tradition and all of that. And she was once a sangoma of some sort. And then my mother on the other side is a full-on born-again Christian. So, and because my father was somewhere. So I was raised by these two women. So I found myself in a space where whenever something had to be done at home, I had to consult with both of them. One would tell me this way, and the other one would tell me to do it the other way. So I constantly had to find parallels between the two. How do I make the two work instead of trying to make the other choose one over the other, because I knew with choosing one over the other, I would be forced to choose one of them. So I did not want to choose one of them because both of them were important. So I chose that story because it related to my life at that time, and it's still a journey that I'm still trying to find myself with you. In these two, where do I belong? Because even to this day, I still find myself using both of them. For example, I still do the Ngula ring, go to speak to my ancestors and do all of that, and I still go to church every Sunday. I pray every night when I go to sleep. When I wake up, I still pray. So I still use both of them. So I'm also in that chain with, can I use both of them?
Interesting. Themba, what he's speaking about speaks to the importance, I guess, of the arts, specifically community theatre, in bringing about specific messages and in educating people. You said in the opening of the conversation that it's not necessarily to sway people in one or other direction. It's just to give you this and say, okay, you make up your own mind. Let's talk about the importance of community theatre.
The importance of community theatre, if you want to learn something about South Africa, you need to go and watch community theatre productions. Because in the theatre, in the formal space, there's a certain way of doing things. But the people who come from the community theatre, it's young people who are not influenced by these formulas that we are using in the theatres. So that's why you find something that is groundbreaking. For instance, when you look at this production like this one, our theatres do not deal with such subjects. So community theatre is very important because that's where you learn where young people are. When you go to a rural area, you'll find young people who've never been exposed to theatre before. But you'll find that their reference is themselves. So that's why you find authentic storytelling.
Authentic storytelling. Are you finding that your peers, young people, are grappling with the same issue? Are we interested? Do we care to know about tradition, culture, and versus Christianity?
I think yes, in a sense. But I think the main thing that is going on with our generation is that because the industry itself is not like really welcoming to young people. We're still battling with the fact that in order for me to get, for example, to a space like the Market Theatre, I have to be somewhere around the John Carneys, the James Ngobos and all of that. So we're still looking for that platform. And then the fact that we don't have enough finances to finance our own productions, so we are forced to adapt our productions to fit the system. I think that's what's going on with our generation. But it's very rare that you find people who are like myself, because me, I tell stories for the sake of telling stories. I tell a story. I don't tell a story because I want to be part of the festival. I don't tell the stories because I want to get some funding or some sort. I tell a story that speaks to me at that time. But that's very rare. It means that most of the time I'm going to be starving somewhere in some corner. In order for me to make money, I need to find other avenues.
Yeah. Themba, this is a challenge to you guys. How do we respond to this?
Well, Zwakala Festival is one of the platforms that responds to this idea of young people who want to tell the story the way they want to. So Zwakala Festival gives that platform for them to participate in the process. But now it's 4 production, but we've been working with about 35 productions. So not all of them that have made it into this top 4, but there's this idea of skill transfer. So I think Zwakala Festival is one of those platforms. But I would love that maybe our country can do more when it comes to creating platforms for the community theatre. Because when young people come together and tell these stories, it's like they are given an opportunity to reflect into their own lives and their lives around themselves. So if we can have enough platforms like this one, I think that we will be achieving something as a country.
The work that Hlubi is doing will be so appreciated in France, so appreciated in Sweden. It's a pity that you sit here and you say the things that you say because the environment is not conducive enough for young people to tell authentically South African stories. It's a great pity, but the Zwakala Festival is attempting to fix that. So thank you for the work that you do as well. Thank you so much for coming through. Where do people catch the plays, when and how? So
the performances are starting today. The first show will be at 10 o'clock. So the last show will be at 4 o'clock. 10 a.m.
Okay.
And even tomorrow, Sunday, the first show is at 10 a.m. The last show is at 4 p.m.
At the Market Theatre.
At the Market Theatre, and the entrance is free. People can just come through.
Even better.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Looking forward to seeing this.
Enkosi.
Themba Mkhona is the festival director of Zwakala at the Market Theatre, as well as Hlubi Nontlanga, who is a director of one of the plays.